Rosh HaShana, I mean, there are many things about Rosh HaShana, but one of the things about Rosh HaShana, which is really important, is to realize that Rosh HaShana teaches us the power of free will. That one of the things that happens both in our personal lives and also even as a nation or even as a people of the world is we often become prisoners to our past. Many times things happen in our past, understandably so, but no matter what it is, these are events which so much of our lives are built on regret or built on the ramification of those events, that actually what could happen is we sacrifice our future because we remain enslaved to our past. Rosh Hashanah is an opportunity to break that, clearly to learn from the past, but to be able to embrace a new future. Rosh Hashanah should be like when you wake up on a snowy day the first time of the year and you look out the window and there isn't a single footprint in the snow yet. That's what your new year is. That year that lies in front of us is something that we can really take in our hands and choose. We are not victims of destiny. We are not preordained for futures. We have free will to make these decisions. I happen to bring with me today a little list of some quotes, which I'm just going to read them because I thought they're sort of funny and they relate to the idea of Rosh Hashanah. I won't mention all the quotes and who they're from, but just the quotes themselves because they're really rich. So one gentleman says here, "The trouble with our times is that the future is not what it used to be." Of course, the famous Albert Einstein quote is, "I never think of the future, it comes soon enough." Obviously, many of us know that as time goes by. You know, there used to be the expression that time flies when you're having fun. As you get older, you realize time flies even if you're not having fun. It just flies. So then there's a quote, actually this one is from Finland. It says, "Because we don't think about future generations, they will never forget us," which is a very true Gemara that actually was the original Rumpelstiltskin story, where the Talmud says about a great rabbi who went to sleep and woke up 70 years later. And in the story, it talks about him seeing a man who's planting a tree, but this particular tree, the carob tree, will not bear fruit for 70 years. And he says to the man, "Why are you planting this tree? You're not even going to be here to have the fruits of this tree." And the man says, "But my children and my grandchildren will, and they will remember that for me." So therefore, when we make our choices about our future, it's not just choices about you and me, it's really about choices about all of us. There's the ramifications of our choice. So taking a little bit further, I'm sure all of you remember the former Vice President of the United States, Dan Quayle, who was famous for his quote. So this is his quote about the future. He says, "The future will be better tomorrow." I'll just leave that at that. But on top of that is, prediction is very difficult, especially about the future. And my famous one is, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And that's really something that we have to understand, that no matter how much our lives, God forbid, could be in a situation of dire straits, there is always hope and there's always the capacity to turn it around. The Rebbe Milubavitch used to say this in a very beautiful way. Many of you might be familiar with the Gemara that says, "Yeshuat Hashem keheref ayin," which is normally translated as the redemption from God comes in the blink of the eye. It's Lois Lane falling off the building, Superman catches her 1 foot from, smashed pumpkin. But the Lubavitch Rebbe says, no, that's not what it means. It actually, herif is a state of the eye when the eye is closed. In other words, when a person sees no hope, when a person thinks all is lost, and there's nothing that could possibly save that person, that's when the Yeshuas Hashem comes. And this is taught to us by King Chizkiyahu, because King Chizkiyahu realized, or thought he realized, that prophetically he was going to die, and if he would have had a child, the child would have been an evil man. And the prophet Ishayahu comes in and says to him, "But listen, that's none of your business. God's business is God's business," and so on. And yes, he will be evil, but so what? And Chizkiyahu said back, "I have a tradition from King David." Did I screw this up? I think I did.
The story?
Yeah, I think it's Chizkiyahu says it to Yeshayahu.
Did he want to kill the son?
No. Okay, can you edit this part out?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know this from our own history. Because when Chizkiyahu was ill, Ishayahu, the prophet, came in and said to him, "You're going to die." And Chizkiyahu says, I have a tradition from my father, meaning my great-grandfather, King David, that even if the sword is upon a person's neck, they should continue to pray because they can always find redemption. Hopefully none of us are in such a situation, but we should be able to know, regardless of where we are, we should be able to approach the new year, seize our future, invent our future, and make it the wonderful world and life that we long for. Shana Tova.